Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Empowering Process Podcast. Gail Craft here. And today we're going to have a conversation with the amazing Deb Krier. We're going to talk about Wise Women Communications. She's the founder of that organization. And most importantly, her organization, Trying Not to Die, live. Or live, Live. And she's going to talk about how important it is to be living in the moment and focus on what truly matters in her life and in yours. Who knows, as usual, where this conversation will go. Welcome, Deb Krier. So, welcome, Deb. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here. I'm first of all, I am very honored to be on your podcast because it is so wonderful. But you're just such a fun person, and I can't wait to have such a great conversation.
This is fantastic. So, guys, this is not our first rodeo.
I know.
We had
Oh,
technical difficulties. We have
life
lost video.
interfered. Yeah.
So there's a purpose for this. So when we talked before, we talked about the businesses that you have, and we talked about humor, resilience, self-care, right? And your determination. Bottom line, your determination. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing now around, I don't want to say surviving, I don't want to say conquering, I want to say looking cancer in the face and saying, yeah, not today.
Yeah. I mean, they call me the Energizer Bunny, which I think is funny, but you just have to keep going. Are there good days? Obviously. And most of my days are good days. But are there bad days? Yes. And I think one of the most important things with being on this journey is honoring and acknowledging that there will be bad days and it's okay. Just don't get stuck there.
Deb, I'm glad that you brought that up. So first of all, folks, the name of one of her businesses, Wise Women Communication, and the other is Trying Not to Live. I'm trying not to die. Live or live, however you want to say it, and loving the darkness anyway. Let's go down that path. That's one of my favorite paths to go down because I work with people who are in the darkness and can't find the way out.
Right.
And we can get wrapped up, especially when there's the physical facing you day in and day out. So talk about, I don't want to say how you got out of the darkness, because I know that a lot of what you do is connecting with source, connecting with God, and believing that there is something beyond us, right? So share with us, if you don't mind, some of the darkness that you have had to face and how you actually learn to love it.
Right. First of all, I think one of the things that everybody needs to remember is if it's really dark, you might need additional help. And the strongest thing you can do is to say, I need help. And whether that's from a spiritual advisor or a counselor or whoever, it shows how strong you are to say, I need help. Yep. It's funny. I was on another podcast earlier today and the podcaster was in Pakistan and 15 years old. And he asked almost the exact same question. What was the hardest thing that you've ever had to deal with? And coming from a 15-year-old, I thought that was pretty gosh darn insightful, right?
Pretty enlightened, yes.
Yes. But, there are times. And I mean, I went through one fairly recently. I'm on my third go round with cancer. The third one was thyroid cancer, and I have a checkup coming up, just standard checkup. And so they had ordered an ultrasound, and the ultrasound showed something. I got it, I love it. And of course, they just send you this stuff. They give you no context. It's just there's a lesion that is visible that was not visible before on your vocal cord. Right. And or actually they said on whatever the area was. And so, me and Dr. Google looked it up, and Dr. Google said that's around the area of your vocal cords. Now, I immediately contacted my doctor, who's very good at responding on text. And he said, I wouldn't worry about it. You come in and see me in March, like I was, scheduled to do. And he said, and we'll repeat the ultrasound at some point. And he said, I think you probably just have a small infection. Okay. And my response to him was, that's not good enough. And I said, I want to skip all this other crap and just have the needle biopsy. And he said, no.
No, I want to stop you for a moment there. Mm-hmm. You are your own advocate.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And so, he, and I mean, his rationale was very, very good. And my rational brain understood it. My irrational brain was going, oh, crap, oh, crap, oh, crap, oh, crap. Right.
Of course.
Or worse words. Right. And so I just happened to see my oncologist the same week, we had an appointment with her, hand her all this paperwork and all of this. And she looks at me and she says, I agree with him, but she said, this is bothering you, isn't it? And I said, well, of course it is. I've been with you 9 years. Shouldn't you know that this is bothering me? And she said, okay, then I'm going to refer you to an ear, nose, and throat. And we'll go about this just a little bit different way. This person got me in, and actually they were going to get me in on the same day. And I said, no, I can't do that. But so, the next week, which doesn't happen, right? I think my chart must have all these bells and whistles, danger, danger. But so I went in to see him. Now I took my husband because I was needing that moral support. Mm-hmm. Normally it's like, whatever. But I kept thinking my vocal cords, oh crap. And he was like, why am I going? And I just go. And so
I can put my fingernails into somebody's arm.
Yes. And so, I get there. This was one of the best doctors I have ever had. He had looked through my chart, which is War and Peace, right? And he said, okay, I get why you're concerned. He said, yep, rolled my chair back, and he said, we're doing an ultrasound right now. We're not waiting. He said, we're doing the ultrasound. And so he's right. And I had known when I was getting the first ultrasound done that there was something, because she kept going over this one area. Right. And so, he does the ultrasound, and he said, well, I have to tell you, they were wrong. And he said, I probably shouldn't have said it that way. And he said, but whatever they saw really is gone. He said, so your endocrinologist was probably right. You probably had a small infection. There was a lymph node that was acting up because of that small infection, and everything was okay. And he said, now I do this all the time. You can trust me. And he said, obviously you still need to do all the other stuff that you're doing. You need to follow up. You need to do all of that. But here's the thing that really impressed me. He was ready. He had the stuff there. If he had seen something, he was going to do the needle biopsy right then. So not, you have to schedule another appointment 5 weeks from now because our schedules are very full. No, he gets it. He gets that we're in our head when this comes up, and it can be a pretty dark place. And he was going to do everything he possibly could to make it better. And I just thought that was fabulous. And then of course I sent my endocrinologist a note, and I said, well, you were right. And he just thought that was funny. But I mean, so I had the thought of, oh my gosh, this is on my vocal cord and it's back. I mean, just all of that was churning in my little brain. And they had said it was a 9 millimeter lesion. And 9 millimeters is a small P. I mean, this is not a big thing, right? But at the same point, my brain all of a sudden thinks there's a bowling ball in my throat, right? But yeah, it was a challenge in those 4-ish weeks that I was dealing with this, but it's exactly what you said. We have to advocate for ourselves. And I had told my doctors, this is what's going to happen. And they went, okie dokie.
Right.
I'm fortunate that, and I understand, I'm very fortunate that I have really good insurance. And my insurance company did not in any way question that I needed this other doctor's appointment. I might have had to have paid for it out of my own pocket, and that can always be, a bit much. But yeah, we are the only people who can advocate for us. And if for some reason we can't, then we have to have somebody else who can.
That we can trust.
Yes.
That's really important
Mhm.
to know and understand your priorities,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And
Right.
and I am going to go down the more spiritual path
Mhm.
here,
Mhm.
because when people go through a trauma,
Mhm.
that any trauma, quite frankly, but
Mhm.
especially a trauma that is
Mhm.
life and
Mhm.
death, it is not unusual for that person to turn to God,
Right. Or
right?
away from God.
Or away from God,
Mhm.
right? Right. Right. You have forsaken me,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
For me, I saw this, I knew this was coming before, and if you want to know the story, get my book,
Mhm.
right? Lessons from Hell.
Mhm.
But I leaned into
Mhm.
the experience,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And in leaning into the experience, I had daily conversations with the
Mhm.
universe.
Mhm.
And sometimes the conversations were, what the hell
Mhm.
am I going through?
Right. Mhm.
Why me?
Mhm.
Right? Now, I didn't have the pity party for long,
Mhm.
right? But we can get into our heads,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And to get out of that cycle
Mhm.
is really, really
Mhm.
important.
Mhm.
I had a conversation today with a client, and the conversation was around the language that we use,
Mhm.
right? And, so coaches must be really mad at me because I point out how wrong they are in so many ways. And so, watch your words create
Mhm.
your reality.
Mhm.
And she's been hearing this from her husband, and she's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I feel this way." And I'm sitting there going, what are your feelings? Right.
Mhm.
Right. See your
Mhm.
feelings, recognize it. Don't
Mhm.
switch them down. Don't pretend,
Mhm.
don't
Right.
lie to yourself.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so she's getting this
Mhm.
conflict, and she's like, I feel this way, and
Mhm.
I want to allow myself to feel this way.
Mhm.
Please do.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. You can shift your energy
Mhm.
towards it. And
Right.
you can say, I understand that you're going through this. And so I
Mhm.
gave her a couple of techniques
Mhm.
for how to still recognize and honor the fact that you're
Mhm.
going through this
Right.
without feeling the pity party,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Because that's what will bring you down,
Right.
right?
Pity
Um,
parties are fun. They're a
no,
party.
no, they're not. No, they're not. And no one wants to be around you when you're having a
Mhm.
pity party,
Mhm.
believe me,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And I don't want to be around me when
Mhm.
I'm having a pity party.
Mhm.
And so I give myself permission for
Mhm.
5 minutes.
Right. Mhm. Mhm.
Right. But then I don't put my big girl panties on and try to
Mhm.
get out of it.
Mhm.
My body is telling me something.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
And so your body was telling you, and then it gets into your mind with the
Mhm.
stories. Something's off, something was
Mhm.
off,
Right. Mhm.
right? But then your brain took it
Mhm.
to, oh, I've had this experience.
Mhm.
I have this repeated
Right.
problem,
Mhm.
right? Oh no, am I going down yet
Mhm.
another route,
Mhm. Right.
right? And so what do you need to do to get out of it? You needed
Mhm.
information.
Mhm. Right. And I needed, as you were saying, I needed to be heard.
Yes.
And and I think that was probably the most important thing, because like I said, the smart part, I shouldn't say it that way, the one side of my brain said they're right, and the other side of my brain was freaking out. And that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, and they all said the type of thyroid cancer I had does not normally spread. All of these and I kept saying, but I'm not normal. Hello, I'm,
Right.
have y'all not figured that out? But, but yeah, and it's kind of, I love it because we hear this a lot, like with marriage counselors. I just need to be acknowledged. I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to acknowledge that that's the way I'm feeling. And then we go from there. But I'm not telling you just so you can fix it.
I'm not telling you to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not telling you to blame you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm just telling you that this is what's going on in my
Right.
body right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. And it may have nothing to do with you other
Mm-hmm.
than the fact that you had an attitude, said a word, or walked a certain way that
Mm-hmm.
triggered something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm asking you to hold
Mm-hmm.
space while I navigate through it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
And sometimes that's quick and sometimes it's not. And I think that's been one of the kind of the crazy things about this whole journey. Somebody asked me, did I cry a lot? That was kind of an odd question. And I said, no, not really. I said, now from pain, yes. I said, but I knew that was not what they were asking. And because I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was pissed. I was annoyed, when they told me you have cancer. And, when we discovered it was a little bit more serious, I think I shed a tear or two in the shower. I mean, just kind of one of those places where you can cry, right? Nobody's there,
Right.
and all of those. And then one of the times when I was having to go back in for major surgery, I remembered, and it was the pity party. And, and I remember telling my husband, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this? And oh, I was weepy, which then of course got him upset. And then I felt bad that, and because that was the last thing that I wanted. But yeah, and so I cried then. It was kind of like, again, really, you're going to do major abdominal surgery on me for the fourth or fifth time. What the heck?
Just put a zipper in. Just put a zipper in.
Yeah.
Right?
And so, but I think that's part of this whole thing is sometimes we don't feel and share those emotions because we don't want to upset other people.
So, not me. Right. I honor all of me, what we consider good and bad.
Right.
I did have an understanding as to my why on a bunch of different levels. Right. And so, and I'll go through some of them just briefly. So, for me, there was a diagnosis of breast cancer, stage 2. And I didn't even have a lump. Like there was no way I would have known. And so I started doing energy work on myself before surgery and untangling, like I saw a web, a tangled web of energy and untangling the web. And then I had a prayer. And again, it's in my book that I created during that time. And by the time I went in for surgery, the pathologist results came back and it was stage 1.
Yay.
So, and if I hadn't had the needle biopsy, I would not have gone through chemo. The only reason that I went through chemo is because when the biopsy is done, should it come back, then you have little baby cancer cells running around your body.
Right.
Right. And that is the purpose of chemo. So, so there's the energetic piece there. So I understood that there was an energetic reason why, right? There was a spiritual reason why, right? That this was an opportunity
right
for me to commune with God and create a relationship that I didn't have before. And I did. Again, in my book, right? I saw everything as, well, this is really crappy. I feel awful. I can't even get off the couch today. Thank you. And I think my body constantly
Mm-hmm.
for putting up with me
Mm-hmm.
and helping me heal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So talk a little bit about, because you've had repeated
Mm-hmm.
devastating
My scars have scars.
right, test results,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so how do you turn to the spiritual side for the guidance, the support, the understanding? Because you have to have done that to be this amazing woman that you are.
I mean, I definitely believe that there's something more, something bigger. You know, and you know, and so my technical diagnosis is stage 4 triple positive metastatic breast cancer. And when I tell people that, the first thing that they go is, oh, right, because they hear stage 4. I mean, that's the icky part of all of this. And then I tell them, yeah, you realize that we're almost at the 10-year mark, which that's a major mark as for, you know, all of this. But you know, the entire time I never felt alone. And I don't know what it was, you know, what, you know, what, and part of it was simply my friends, my family, people like that. I mean, I remember one time when I was going in for one of my major surgeries thinking, well, I can't die. All of those people will be mad at me. But there was always
a reason.
Yeah, you know, but there was always kind of that bubble, as I put it, of support that was there. But you know, I also have so I have this tattoo on my arm, and it says warrior, which is me, and it is surrounded by my angels. So those are people who I have lost, who are standing right there next to me. And and you know, and it's my dogs and cats too, right? Because we get our energy from them. And so in fact, now this is, I'm gonna like squirrel here for a moment.
Squirrel all you want.
I have a business podcast, and I was interviewing a business spiritual leader. This was several years ago, and fascinating conversation. But I did not meet her, know her, talk to her before we did the podcast. That morning, we had to have one of my dogs put to sleep. And so, and you know, in the podcast, I actually said something along the lines of, you know, it's been kind of a bad day today. And that's all I said. And she said, yes, I know. And I said, oh. And she said, it has to do with one of your animals. Now, I mean, there was no way for her to have known any of this. And I said, yeah, we had to have one of our dogs put to sleep today. And she said, I see, she's there with you. And she said, but tell me, why is she surrounded by jewels? And I started laughing, and she, you know, but it was not laughing at her. And she said, what? And I said, well, her name was Diva. and she said, but now I'm really confused. She wants to know when she goes on your arm. And until that point, I did not have the paw prints as part of my tattoo. I got chills just now, right? Yep. But yeah, so whether it's energy, whether it's angels, whatever it is, we're not on this journey alone.
Right.
And you know, I think that's one of the things that people need to hopefully embrace is, you know, we aren't here alone. And yeah, there are the real people that I can reach out and touch and all of those things. But there, you know, there are these others that are surrounding us, supporting us. And we need to let them do that. You know, don't be pushing them away.
Yes.
Yeah. Put those dog paw prints on your arm.
Oh, you know, so my cat totally supported me during this. And then a few months later passed away when I was done. And I think, you know, he took on too much of the chemo.
He absorbed that energy.
Yeah, and especially the radiation. I mean, he just wouldn't leave me alone for the radiation. But he was also old, and I can hear him when I go to sleep at night, running up and down the stairs. He was not light, right? And sometimes he's on the bed on my feet, and I'm like, move over.
Mhm.
Come on, you're
Right.
just a spirit now.
Yeah.
Can I have some room?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
We have on the wall behind me, on the other side of the wall, is a staircase, and we have probably 30 pictures, family pictures that are there, mini family pictures, vacation pictures, all sorts of things. 4 times pictures have leaped off. And it's funny because these are aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews. The only pictures that have come off are my mother-in-law and father-in-law and my mother. And my husband's like, well, the sticky stuff wore off. And I'm like, okay, if you want to believe that. And but I'm like, you realize they're all stickied up there the same way. And it was funny because I asked someone one time who was very in tune with things like this. I said, are they mad at me? Are they, and she kind of paused. And now I don't know if she was giving me the answer that I wanted to hear, needed to hear, or the right answer, but she said, they're just wanting to show you that they're there and thinking of you. I thought, okay, I can do that. I said, but don't break my fancy frames again. But I just thought it was very, and yeah, those are the only pictures that have leaped off of the wall.
Yeah. And the communication will come as the communication can come. Sometimes I get messages from conversations that I have with people, exactly what I need to hear. Right. Sometimes I wake up with a flash and go, oh, well, that's interesting. Right. However I get the information, I follow through on it.
Right.
Now,
and sometimes we might not want to hear it.
Oh, I think I knew months before about the journey I went on. Do you think I wanted to know about that? No. In fact, 3 months before I saw my doctor, I went out to Amazon and bought the chemo hats.
Wow.
Because I heard buy the chemo hats. And as I was purchasing them, I'm arguing with the universe.
Yes.
Like,
I'm wasting my money.
Right. Well, I'm wasting my money. I'm embarrassed to do this. I have friends who've gone through this. I'm not going to ever wear them because it's an insult to them. I'll put them in the drawer, but you're telling me to buy them. So I'm buying them, and one of them is really, really adorable. It's like a roaring 20s little, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I know. I still have all my hats because I put my wig on once and went, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, I'm sorry I even spent money on this thing.
Yeah. And yeah, I wore hats. And now I didn't look at myself. But I don't. I mean, that's not, I don't, primp in front of the mirror, any of that. I mean, I'm like, but yeah, I liked my hats and I still wear my hats and they don't have a negative connotation to me.
No, and absolutely not anymore. But it was really interesting, the growth, the potential for growth, and the potential to find a grace, the potential to find calmness, right? The potential to look at others. The word love comes to my mouth, but it's more than that. It's more than that. But looking at others in a way, like I see you. I see my client's pain. They don't even have to tell me what's going on.
Right.
And I can see it without feeling it, and still have compassion for it. Back in the day, being empathic, I would feel it.
Right. And that's so hard.
Oh, right. And now I feel I love you so much. I don't want you to be going through this, but I see that you are. Right. And if you want to do some work, I can help you through.
Right.
I had a client today who said, I want to thank you because she was definitely going through the darkness. Right. And that, like you said, sometimes you just need help. The day that I went in for surgery, I had my daughter there. This was an adorable story. And she was falling apart. So I reached over to hold her hand as the first nurse was like hooking me up. And be ready. And she started to cry.
Oh,
right.
And I'm like, are you okay? So here I'm getting ready for are you
right.
okay? Right. And she said, and this was like my first step towards this compassion that I didn't have before. She said, I want to thank you for sharing this mother-daughter moment with me.
Oh.
My mom passed away 3 months ago and I miss her very much.
Oh. Group hug.
Yes. 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 And so I'm like, so this is why my daughter's here with me today, because I'm okay. I just need to go home when this is done.
Yeah, you won't let me go home without.
They won't let me go home all drugged up. I don't understand.
You know, they don't even let you take an Uber.
No, because they want to be sure that there's someone there for you. Because the first couple of days, you need care. But it really is important. And I would love for people not to have to go through this to get to where we've gotten to.
Yeah. And the bad part is that, especially for me, that I had to go through it to get to where I am now. Because it did change my outlook on life. I hope it made me a better person. And all these things. And that's one of the things that people always ask me. Am I glad this happened? Well, kind of. I mean, I'm
in a weird way.
Right. I've had over 30 surgeries. I'm missing body parts. Like I said, my scars have scars. I will never be the same. I mean, physically, there's going to be things going on forever. And all sorts of things like that. But I've met people, case in point, who I never would have met before. All sorts of things where I really can think, okay, this has made me a better person. So, okay. Did it, was it a pain? Yeah. I actually had treatment yesterday. And so we were kind of joking around, and that's what I do. I joke a lot. Really, you can understand that, right? And so I'm sitting back there with my nurses because we're waiting on the drugs to be delivered, and we were talking about, I had a new nurse, and so she was kind of asking some questions about what I'd been through, and I started down my litany, and she's just getting more and more freaked out, and I finally said, "Honey, it's okay." But she saw the big 12-inch incision on my stomach, and that got her, and because she was like, "Didn't you have breast cancer?" And I said, "Oh yeah, those scars are there," but and
a few other things.
Yeah, but then we started laughing because so what I got yesterday, I got 2 injections, one in my stomach and then one in my thigh. Those are really fun. And so I wear sweats with shorts. This is what they had told me to do. And so then, you drop your trousers, right? First couple of times it freaked him out. I kept saying, I have shorts on. And so there was another woman there yesterday who did the same thing. And so we get together, we start laughing. And what do? We find one of the IV poles and we're going to do a stripper dance. Some of the other patients are in there going, oh my God, others are laughing, and I'm like, y'all got to have fun with this.
I have to tell you that when I changed oncologists. So when I saw my first oncologist for the last time, she said, I want to thank you for bringing a light into the oncology ward, right? Because I always came in, always had a joke or something funny to share, something humorous, not, sarcastic or whatever. I loved the nurses that I had,
they're my superheroes.
They are, oh my goodness, they are amazing what they do. Right. And so, and I learned and they learned, I love the fact that, so one of the things that happens when you go, at least I had the harsh protocol. I was told, you're not going to like okay, do what you have to do. Right?
It's not supposed to be fun.
Nowhere was it fun, right? It was not even bearable sometimes. And I don't even remember what I was going to say. There's just so much that went on with that. Oh yes. So what happens folks is you either get diarrhea or you get bound because your body doesn't like
or both
that.
in the same day. And you're like, seriously?
Yeah, right. So I got bound. And so the nurse said, well, we'll have to put you on stool softeners. And I said, no, because I'm going to be doing this for 4 months. And by the time you're done with me, you will have destroyed.
Right. Your body will now rely on that.
Right. So I'll find a different solution. And I knew, because I did some research, that I couldn't use enzymes, which is typically what I would do, because it actually makes the chemo kill you.
Right.
So, don't just go down a path, right? And so I held some conversations, did some more research, and I found center leaf aloe vera juice.
Oh,
right. And 2 to 4 tablespoons in my juice in the morning. Clockwork.
Yeah.
Clockwork. And so I told my oncology nurse, and she wrote it down on her chart and said, this is good information for me to share with my other patients. So that openness to hear, because I shared everything they want to know everything that you do. Right.
Well, and they need to know everything because they might not play nice with some things.
Right. Right. And so, I do suggest, being your own advocate in life. What I learned a lot about boundaries that I thought I knew, but I had no clue until I went through this.
Right.
I learned a lot about values that I thought I knew, but not as well as I do now. I learned a lot about grace for others, right? And people will do what they need to do and not understand what they're doing. So there were those who gave me advice that was not asked for.
Not wanted.
Or wanted. But that, but I love them for wanting to save me.
They were trying to help.
Right. There are those who disappeared because they don't know what to say or to do around someone going through this. And I honor the fact that this is how they handle stress. There were those who reached out and said, how can I help you? I can do this, 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 and this. And I called on them.
Right.
Right. Right. When I needed them for this, or this.
Yep.
Right. And so I learned to, and at first I didn't, I will be honest.
Oh yeah. You know what? I didn't want to ask for help.
I didn't want to ask for help. I didn't want to get help. And I was pissed that my friends disappeared. Right.
Yep. I lost
friends. When I need you, where the hell are you? Right.
Or the people who were going to come visit and you got all ready and they didn't show up.
Yes.
Clearly, I still have a little issue there.
Right. But I got to sit back and understand that when they don't know what to say, then they're not going to say anything.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I tell people, it's like somebody died, right? We don't want to remind them about their loss, all those things. And so we just don't say anything. And so I tell people, the problem is then I think you don't care. Whether, that's clearly not true, but, and so I tell them it's okay just to say, Gail, I'm really sorry. And just leave it at that. Then, or, I had people who told me we didn't know what to do. And I said, Hallmark has cards. And I still have every single one of those cards. I don't know. At some point, I'm going to do something like,
make a collage or something.
Well, I'll probably look through them one more time, feel those emotions, and then recycle. But yeah, but I loved your friends who said, I can do this, this, and this, because typically what happens is they say, Gail, just tell me if you need something. And your brain has shorted out. And so you can't, but the people who say something specific, my brain can get around that. I can either accept it or say, okay, that doesn't work, but would this work?
Do you need a ride?
Yep.
You need groceries
Yes.
picked up?
Yes. Can I bring
Do you
dinner?
Right? Can I do some cooking for you? Do you need me to go to the
Yep.
pharmacy?
Right.
So I'll tell you the hair story. That was my come to Jesus. The first time I touched my hair
and clumps.
and I freaked out. Right. And let's just say I had made arrangements to have my head shaved and they fell through. Right. It's like, I can't go to a stranger. I can't go to, and have my head shaved.
Right.
A friend of mine on Facebook reached out in Messenger and said, I used to be a hairdresser, have all the tools. I would be honored to come and shave your head for you. My first response was, oh, no,
I'm fine.
I'm fine. And then literally I heard the universe guys say, you asked for something, we give it to you.
This very nice person
no.
offered.
And then I went, oh my God, you're right.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
How many times have we done that in our life?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I called her back and it was the most loving experience. She was a beautiful angel.
Yeah. Mine was kind of comical because I'm me. And so a friend of mine had offered, and then I had my first chemo and ended up in the hospital in ICU and all sorts of icky nasties. And my hair started coming out in clumps. And I thought, okay, I'm not dealing with this. This is just, bleh. And so I called her. Now, the reason she offered, she's a dog groomer. Right. And so she brought her tools and right. But so the funny thing is, so I had probably at that point about 10 doctors who rounded on me every morning. And because if it could go wrong, it did. And so I had all these very nice people who came in, and then left. Actually, they did it one at a time, which was very confusing because I didn't know who they were and my brain didn't grasp that. But anyhow, so they'd come in, they'd done morning rounds, and I look basically like I do right now. They came in the afternoon and I'm bald as a billiard ball. And they all just were like, oh my God, because I hadn't had a chance to get a hat or anything. I mean, it was just, their reactions were half the fun. And was it traumatic? Yes. I mean, our physical appearance, whether we like it or not, is still very important to us. My hair is very important to me, and to not have it was traumatic.
Well, and you lose all of your hair.
Yes. I lost one eyebrow. I only lost one. It was the weirdest thing.
Eyebrows, eyelashes, hair, nose. I mean, my nose was like just running because there was
because those little filters were not there. Yeah. Now you didn't have to shave your legs. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Underarm hair, and mine never came back.
Mine's not back yet.
Yeah. But yeah, I just lost one eyebrow. I thought that was really funny. And, and my eyelashes didn't bother me in the slightest because I have blonde, very light colored eyelashes. So you couldn't tell I had eyelashes. But yeah, it was very strange. And then it was even stranger when it started coming back. Right? Because it's weird.
It's very weird. I didn't realize my hair was coming back. And I looked in the mirror and I'm like, what is that dirt on my face?
Yes.
Licked my finger and tried to smudge my eyebrow off. Right? And I went, oh,
I have an eyebrow.
Whoa. And then I went, that looks horrible.
Yeah, because and I never realized that none of the hair grows evenly. I mean, like on your head. And so mine came back. Now, this color that I have now is, shall we say, enhanced. But when it came back, and I had known, because I worked for an oncologist, I've been around cancer, and so I knew it was going to come back different. Mine came back pure white.
Yes.
Baby fine. And
yes, like feathers.
Yes. And so I would just be, right. It was like peach fuzz on top of my head. and very curly, which now my hair is naturally curly, but this was like poodle curl, right?
Yep.
And then it turned into this ucky shade of gray. I mean, it was all very uneven. That was the weird
Yeah,
part.
I still have hairs just now starting to grow
Yes.
a
You know,
year
and
later.
yeah, and so I went to finally it was like I can't stand this. And I went to Supercuts, just down the street, and explained my sad tale of woe to the poor lady there who cried. I felt really bad. But I told her, I said, I just need it even. I know you're going to have to get it really pretty short again, but I need it even because I had this weird spiky thing going on. And then I asked permission from my oncologist to get it colored again. And normally they tell you need to wait 6 months because it could really actually make your hair fall out again. And so she told me, she said, she's very good at this. This is bothering you, right? Yes. And so I did a very natural hair, and so then I felt more like me. But like other things, like I had a double mastectomy with no reconstruction. I was like, I don't need those. Do I have prosthetics? Yes. I wear those on occasion when I know it's going to bother other people if I don't wear them. But me being me, they're named. So I have Lucy and I have Ethel. Right?
And they're best friends.
They are, but yeah, that didn't bother me in the slightest to not have a chest any longer. And it doesn't, like, when I do look in the mirror, it doesn't bother me, and never has. I don't know why. But it's also something that, I understand each person is obviously very different. I was just and maybe I was just thinking I was glad that I was through that and not having to, but yeah, I did not like being bald. And I really, I understood why people said it, but I did not like it when people said, you look good bald. No.
Nope, not whatsoever. But one of the things, and we do need to cut this now. One of the things that I said to my body and the universe, I'll never complain about my hair again.
Yeah.
Right. I'll never so mine is curled. So I flat ironed it today. Just because I can. Right. So I now can have a variety of looks depending on, have it back, have it forward, and I'll show you. This is actually a picture of me.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Yeah. So your hair is naturally pretty wavy, curly.
Yeah. Come on. I'm trying to get there we go. And then we have this look. So I love, by the way, the variety that I get to enjoy.
Yes.
So the Dragon Rider, that is me.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Right. So that's the early stages coming in. Right. So, so the bottom line is, it really isn't important to lean in, to cut yourself and others grace, and to truly love yourself, regardless of what you're going through. Right. Yeah. And the best thing, the best way to show love for yourself is to be your own advocate.
Oh yeah. Especially when you're dealing with these medical issues. And even if it's just something little, one of the times when I was in seeing my primary care doc, and it's really funny. So I've had a hysterectomy and then I've had a double mastectomy. So there's no need for me to have an annual physical. I do not take my clothes off because those things that they normally check, I don't have, right? So I don't get undressed but my primary care doc makes me come in twice a year because she wants to keep tabs on me. And I am fine with that. I like her. But yeah, one of the times when I was in, she said, is there anything else? And I said, I got this thing on my arm that won't heal. Yeah. Next week I was at the dermatologist. And it's basal cell carcinoma, but how many times would we have not even said anything because that was not what we were there for.
Right.
And all of these things. And, I always remember, my father, who, God bless him, he passed quite a long time ago, but I happened to be there one time when he needed to go to the doctor. Now, I had known that doctor since I was a wee little kid. He was the brother of my best friend's he was the best friend of my best friend's brother, right? So we knew each other all along. So he goes to the doctor. Now he had two things that he needed to go to the doctor for. He comes back and I said, so what did Mike say about whatever? Well, he treated this and this. I said, well, what did he say about the other thing? He said, well, I didn't tell him. I said, what do you mean you didn't tell him? He said, he is the doctor. He should know. And I was like, so I call Mike, he's coming back. But, we have to advocate for ourselves, because as much as we love our doctors, our medical care providers, and that's alternative care providers also, they don't read our minds. And now you're very intuitive and I love that, but I still need to tell you things, and so, nobody reads our minds, and we're going to tell them I'm fine. And so, we have to add, and none of it is too little. They're paid to be dealing with this. So you should always think, I'm going to tell them what's going on. My oncologist office has a sign in every exam room: do not leave this room if all of your questions have not been answered.
And that's a fact. That's a fact. So with that, if people want to know more about you and actually what you do in your business, how would they get in touch with you?
So my business is, I have a marketing firm, and you can find more about that at debkrier.com. But what I really am focusing more and more of my time on is advocating for those on a cancer journey. And you mentioned it at the start. The website is www.tryingnottodie.live, because we have to live our lives. And you'll find links to our Facebook group there. It is a private group. But I let anybody in. I just don't want the people who are going to sell us something that's going to cure us. But there's also lots of good resources there. And there's going to be something coming soon, a new service that I'm going to be doing. Lots of great resources, things like that are there. But again, it's tryingnottodie.live. There's also ways to get in touch with me there.
Awesome. And all of that stuff will be in the show notes.
I love it. I love it.
So everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. If you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up. If you have a question, put it in the comments. If you know someone who could maybe benefit from this, share it out. And as always, do subscribe so you know when the next episode is. Bye-bye, Deb.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailcraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.